Hello and welcome back to the vlog. We are out in the garden again and I am topping all of our raised beds with a compost raised bed mix. I put some compost in the late fall, early winter, and I'm topping them again right before I start putting plants in the ground in about a week so that there's lots of nutrients for the new plants to develop roots and grow nice and strong. This was one of the biggest mistakes I made last year. I just stuck all the plants in the ground and watered them, and that was it. I didn't feed them, I didn't give them fertilizer or anything. So they didn't produce as much as I was hoping. So lesson learned, we're starting things off the right way this year. I'm just putting a couple of inches of this on each of the beds. While I'm doing this, the seedlings are all sitting on the front porch starting to harden off. We've been doing this for about 3 days now, and each day I'm increasing the amount of time they're sitting outside so that they can get used to the elements, grow strong stems, get used to the wind, all of that kind of stuff. And hopefully by next weekend they'll be ready to start putting in the ground. Some things I'll wait until it's a little bit warmer, but we're starting to get into the consistent 50s, 60s. Today it's almost 80, so I think we're starting to hit that rhythm of warm weather where we're probably in the clear of frost. So I'm going to finish topping these beds, and then I'm going to pull out all of our irrigation supplies and see if I can start putting that together. I might have to break it up over the next few days, but it's easier to put the compost in before you put the irrigation in so you don't have to work around that. So first step, compost. Second step, irrigation. Don't mind the shadows all over my face. I had to get into the shade so you could kind of see me. I'm like peeking through the tree leaves here. So I was reading the back of the compost package, and this is saying you can use it for soil improvement, top dressing, or in-ground planting. For soil improvement, you mix a 2-inch layer into the top 4 to 6 inches of your soil, which I think is what I'm gonna do. Now that I've topped it, I'm gonna take my little hand rake and just kind of work it into the soil so it's actually like getting deeper instead of just sitting along the top. You can also use it for top dressing, and it says spread mix until 1 to 2 inches into your garden bed. Or you can use it for in-ground planting and mix equal parts of this growing blend with your existing soil and backfill. So there's a couple of different ways to use it, and if you're curious, this particular growing blend has a mixture of ingredients. It's peat moss, hydrofiber, perlite, composted bark, and organic fertilizer, which consists of crustacean and fish meal. So it's a little different than what I used in the fall. I used the Coast of Maine like lobster compost, which worked great, but these were just bigger bags, and this is what my local garden center had, so I grabbed this. I would love in the future to use something that doesn't have peat in it, but it's shockingly hard to find. I don't know why. Everybody uses peat. I know it like helps retain moisture, but I would prefer something that is peat free. Now that we have all the beds topped, I'm going to grab my little hand rake and work it all into the soil, and then we will pull out the irrigation supplies. Our beds have been top dressed, and then I've mixed that in. I just didn't mix it in where we already have things growing, so I didn't want to disrupt those roots with the exception of the beans that I totally forgot I planted the other day. So hopefully those are okay, but in the next week or so we'll start getting things in the ground, and this will just give them a nice loose soil structure and nutritious soil for them to start growing in. Look at those strawberries. They are thriving. I have to get these out of this bed this year once they're done because this will just take over. Oh my goodness, my hair looks crazy. I did have a key like tucked in my spandex here, but I don't know where it went, and it had a little pink tassel on the end of it, and I saw like threads of pink on the rake that I was just using, so I'm hoping I didn't bury it and work it into the soil. I don't see any like pink in the bed, so I might have dropped it, but I think I'm going to pause on the irrigation for now because I have a nail appointment that I have to get to in a few. So I'm just gonna tidy up here. I'll go to my appointment, and then potentially, if it's not too dark or too late when I get back, I might be able to at least pull that stuff out. But we will play it by ear. If not today, then definitely tomorrow. Back from nails. I did like a mauvey pink this time, no more soil brown colored nails, although there will probably still be soil in my nail beds because that is just the time of year. I got all of the irrigation stuff out of the garden house and I was just taking inventory. I thankfully past Molly was thinking of future Molly, and I labeled everything. I numbered each bed and did like by row, so I did like 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C. So in theory, these should just unwind and sort of like snap into the little caps that are at the ends of each bed. We might have to replace a few pieces of the hardware because the plastic is kind of flimsy and sometimes it breaks off, but we should be in pretty good shape. And then we do have some spare drip line in case we need to replace any of the drip lines. We also have our little timer that we need to connect to the little garden table over here. That's where, right there, that's where we hook the water up to the main faucet from the house. So we need to set that up, and that way, you know, we can set the timer. We don't have to think about it. It'll just water automatically. We've got all of the stakes. So this is what kind of holds the drip line up, so it's not sitting in the soil. It's just a couple inches off the soil, and that way the holes don't get plugged with dirt. But I think I'm gonna save this for tomorrow because Matt is grilling right now, and then I have to hop on a family call. So that's not gonna happen. I wanted to show you though, I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the camera. The other day I looked outside and there was a raccoon just climbing up a tree, and I was able to catch it on camera, and I will pop a video here so that you can see, because it was kind of cute. He was just like latched onto the tree, kind of looking to the side like, hey, what's up? And we were trying to figure out like where he or she lived. We think it's maybe a female because there's a nest in this big pine tree here, and perhaps she's, you know, making babies up there. So I'll show you a little clip of it to see if you can see it, but hopefully the raccoons don't bother the garden and they move on to the woods. There's plenty of houses out there. Just stay away from my garden. So there's this big pine tree, and then at the top up there, there's what appears to be a little nest of sticks and things, and I think that's where the raccoon mama and her babies live. I don't know if she's had the babies. She just looks really big, so I'm thinking that's where she's living. And that is like really close to the garden, so she's probably just waiting for me to plant things so that she can have easy dinner for the fam. I don't actually know that much about raccoons, so I should probably do some research. Hopefully they're not pests. I mean, obviously, you know, I think they go through trash and stuff maybe, but I don't know how they are with yards and gardens and stuff like that. So I should probably look it up just to be sure and make sure we're protecting everything in case they are looking for food. But I'm going to go check on Matt, have a sausage for dinner real quick, and then hop on family call. Good morning and happy Wednesday. We are back out in the garden. I've got all of my irrigation supplies. All of the holes have already been poked in the end hoses, and all of the clips are already at the opposite end of the bed to hold the drip line in place. So really all I should have to do is stick one end into the pre-poked hole and put the other end under the clip to hold it in place. Then we can take our stakes and prop up the drip lines throughout the center of the bed, and it should be as simple as that. But we don't have water hooked up yet, so we won't be able to test for leaks and replacement lines, but at least we can get these all set up so that it's as easy as hooking up the water and turning it on. I had to take a pause earlier because it started downpouring and I was not prepared for that, so I had to get the camera under cover so that it didn't get soaked. But I have 2 more beds to put the drip lines in, and then we have everything laid out. As I've been going through, there are a few things that are broken that I need to replace, and of course Junie stole one of my coils and like chewed the clip off the end of one of them, so we may have to cut a new drip line and use the old one for a shorter bed so that we can still reuse that line. But that's just a part of the game here in the garden. Like, if you're not paying attention, it becomes a toy. I wanted to give you a close-up of how the whole system connects. Each drip line has a little piece that gets inserted into the tube that has an opening and clips into the main hose. I don't know the technical term for this, I'll put it on the screen. But that is kind of how the water gets funneled down into these little drip lines. All of these main hoses are connected, and we kind of hide them under the stones, but they all lead back to this main water source here. Well, actually, this is kind of like a sub source because the main source is the house, but everything connects back to here. So this is where we'll hook in the hose, and then this is the timer, so we can set the timer, and then we can turn the water on and off here, and also on and off at the faucet by the house. Now on our middle beds where we added the tomato trellis here, the stake blocks that center hole, so what we can do is use a plug to plug the hole, and then we can pierce another hole on the left or right of the trellis and run the drip line there. So it's really easy to relocate or modify this hose, or if you accidentally pierce a hole somewhere you didn't want to, you can just plug it up. Over time, sometimes you have to replace bits and pieces of the overall system, but for the most part, these parts are reusable. We take the individual drip lines out at the end of each season, and we uncap the end of each hose here to let water completely drain out so it doesn't freeze and deteriorate all of the pieces throughout the winter. That said, it's all plastic, so little things can break and need repair. We also use these stakes, which kind of hold the drip line up. So this is nice because if your drip line is sitting down in the soil, these little holes where the water drips out of, I don't know if you can really see that, those are spaced kind of equidistant down the line. And if those are sitting in the water, they could get plugged up and water might not actually be dripping into your garden. So if you use these stakes to just prop it up, it kind of keeps it free and clear of the soil, and it's less likely to get clogged. I'm back in the porch because I had pulled all of our irrigation supplies out and put them in here. And I wanted to go through them to see what extra pieces I have. And it appears that, again, past Molly was planning for future Molly because we have tons of extra of everything, which is great. We ordered everything from Drip Depot. I will include a link in the description below in case you're interested in looking at their supplies. They have all kinds of resources on their website to help you figure out which system you need and how much you need. So far I have no complaints. We've only used it for a year, and we didn't have to use it a ton last year because we got so much rain, but it's super easy to set up. It's kind of like Legos. You just connect all the pieces and you can cut things to length to customize it based on your setup. And the one recommendation I do have is to order extra pieces like clips and plugs and things like that. because you may like to have them on hand so you can make modifications or replacements throughout the season or between seasons. This is the tool you use to pierce holes in the main hose. So it's just kind of like a clamp, and it has this little like punch, and you just wrap it around the hose, you squeeze, and it punches a hole. This is called a barb, and this has holes in both ends. This is what you put at the end of your drip line to connect into the main hose. So it kind of has like a stopper which helps it clip into place and it doesn't wobble or leak. This is a tubing clamp, and this is what you put at the opposite end of each bed to hold the end of the irrigation line in place. This is called a goof plug, and you use these for two different use cases. One, to cap off the opposite end of your drip line, so one end gets a barb and connects to the main hose, the other end gets a goof plug. And you can also use these if you pierce the hole in the wrong place of the hose and you want to cap it off, or if you want to relocate your irrigation line placement and you need to close up an old hole. So you just stick this in and it caps it off so no water leaks out. We've also got extra stakes, lots of extra drip line, as well as clamps for the larger hoses. So for now, I'm gonna take my extra clamps, barbs, goof plugs, and clippers and go put the rest of the lines in place, and then I'm going to get a measuring tape and figure out the length of hose I need to get from the main faucet to our secondary faucet. Battery died, so I had to swap that out, but we've got all of the lines in place now. I ended up just weaving the middle line where I had the tomato trellises kind of in between the grate, and that way it's not in the way here where we pounded the stakes in. So those are all good. I've got them all staked so they're up out of the soil a little bit, and I ended up just loosely screwing on the caps here for the end hoses. So before we actually hook these all in, we will take these off and flush water through everything to make sure there's no sediment or anything built up in the hoses. But I just placed those on so that we can easily screw them in place when we're ready. I also measured for hoses, so I'll have to look online and order a few of those. We have like splitters, I don't know the technical term, I'll put it on the screen. But we basically have like splitters that we put onto the spigots that are attached to the house, so we can kind of connect one half to a hose and leave one open for filling up buckets or whatever else we need. And that's really nice, so it doesn't totally occupy the spigot and we can't use it. So I'll order a hose to connect to the garden spigot here. I'll order a hose that will reach the front garden from the other side of the house, and then from the spigots to the back pumpkin patch in the back garden, it's really far. So I can either order a really long hose, or we can try to set up some sort of rain barrel situation to catch water locally, and then we can have a shorter hose that runs from the rain barrel to those gardens. We have to kind of figure out how that would work because we don't have gutters on our house. So we would either have to like attach a short piece of gutter just to collect the water, or find a place where water drips off that would kind of like funnel it into the bucket. So more to come on that, but I can at least get hoses ordered for this so we can get the irrigation set up, because I'm hoping to start getting things in the ground this coming weekend, and I don't want to have to remember to water. I have always had glasses. Well, I shouldn't say always. I've had glasses for a long time, but I don't wear them very often. And of recent, my last pair of glasses got nibbled by Miss Junie, and the end of one of these like earpieces I don't know what this is called, the arms, was like a spike. So I just never wore them for fear of it piercing my head. And I had my regular eye exam the other day, and they were like, how are things? And I was like, it's fine. Like, I don't really need my glasses. I wear them sometimes. I kind of need them at night, but like I can still see fine. And he's like, oh yeah, that's great. You know, just wear them as you need them. And then we did the eye test, and you know how you cover one eye and then the other? I covered my left eye. I couldn't read anything on the chart, like anything. I couldn't read the top line of text. That's never happened to me. I was like, oh my gosh, maybe my vision is not as good as I thought it was. So anyway, long story short, I had to update my prescription, and because my old glasses were damaged, I got new frames. These are the exact same ones I had before. They're just like clear on the top instead of tortoiseshell, and they're silver instead of gold. I still wish I could have gotten the exact same ones I had, but alas, styles change. So here we are with glasses. I'm just trying to get used to them, so I'm trying to wear them around. It's very weird because it's a completely new prescription than what I'm used to, so my right eye is like really adjusting hard. Anyway, I'm out on the 3-season porch, and it is time to tidy the space up. It's kind of been a little bit of a dumping zone. It's been like garden central, where I've been storing some things that I'm using in and out of the garden areas, and I want to tidy it up so it's a place that we can just come, have a drink, sit, relax, read a book, work, etc. We're gonna tidy everything up, just clear out all the junk, and I'm gonna sweep, probably vacuum, I'm gonna mop the floors, and that's probably it for today. All of the windows you see behind me, those all pop out and have screens to replace them. I have a few screens that I actually need to paint the frame on, so if I can get my butt together, I will paint those before I pop them in, because for the last 2 seasons they've just been unpainted wood, and that's just not good with the rain and moisture and all that stuff. So I would like to do that before I put them in, so that'll probably be like a phase 2. And someday, long term, we will completely redo this room, because it's fun to do a makeover. But I haven't quite decided what I want to do, and it's certainly fine as is, so it's definitely not the priority. I've got a long list. Yeah, if only you could see the list of to-dos. It just keeps growing. It doesn't get any shorter. So all that said, let's get cleaning. But now we have a clean porch space. I was able to vacuum and mop the floors, though I had a vacuum mishap with the first vacuum and it wasn't sucking anything up, so I had to get the shop vac instead, which worked out fine. I still need to wash all the covers and do a slightly deeper clean of all the baseboards because the dirt is just kind of caked on, so I really need to like scrub at it with a sponge. But I will do that at a later date. At least now it's a little less cluttered and we've put away all the things that we're not using. So now it is time for dinner. Matt came home while I was still in a cleaning frenzy, so he started cooking tacos. So I'm gonna go inside, help him finish that up, and hopefully we'll sit on the porch and eat. Hello again and happy Friday. I just got back from some local farm plant shopping just to see what folks had. I don't need a ton, but there are some things that are either on the smaller side and I wanted some slightly more mature plants or things that I just didn't have. One of the farms I stopped by is called Upswing Farm. They're in Pepperell, Massachusetts. I will include a link in the description below. They also had some dahlia tubers. Not a ton, but I got Rip City, which is like a deep burgundy, and then I got 3 others, which were like peaches and pinks I can't remember the names of, but all different than what I already have. So we will have 11 different dahlia varieties in total, which means we'll have lots of different colors popping up, hopefully. Fingers crossed, as long as I can grow them properly. So I got those. I got some parsley because my parsley is teeny weeny and I don't know if it'll get very big this year. We will see. And that's it. I'm going to head outside and read some of my book, oops, upside down, until Matt gets home. And then we have a dinner reservation at Gibbet Hill in Groton, Massachusetts this evening, which we haven't been to in forever. And we also haven't been out to eat in forever. We were just talking about this the other night and like, I hear you, we're gonna go out in just a minute. It's just been a minute since we've like sat down and had dinner together outside of our house. So we're really looking forward to that. That said, I'm gonna go set up the hammock and lay down for a bit and see how much of this I can get through. Saturday afternoon and I've just pulled into the parking lot of one of my favorite antique stores. It's called Milford Market Antiques and it's in New Hampshire. And before I actually pulled into the parking lot the first time, I remembered that the Barbour outlet store is just a few minutes away. And I've been wanting to go for ages to see if they have the wax jacket that I want. And if you don't know a lot about wax jackets, they're just like one of those lifetime jackets you buy and you have forever, and they age beautifully, but they're like $400 or more, and you know, that's a big investment. So I've been looking on eBay and just anywhere I can think for thrifted ones because they really do last. They're super high quality. And I wasn't able to find anything. So I popped into the outlet having no hope at all for this because we're going into summer and I just didn't think they'd be carrying jackets, but I found exactly the jacket I wanted in the color I wanted, brand new, 50% off, which is crazy. And I also found out that they have a tent sale in late June, which I will definitely be going back for. And I will show you what it looks like when I get home, but totally unexpected purchase today. I'm very excited about it. So anyway, derailed a little bit, but now we're back and we're gonna go do some shopping. Back home, lots of great garden pieces at the antique store today. I did not get anything because I'm very good at convincing myself out of things, and if I don't have a place for it, I don't want to get it because I don't want to accumulate stuff. But I got a lot of good inspiration, and I might go back in like a week or two and see what they still have, because I liked some of the trellises and like the cloches for the garden. So nothing I need, but something to think about. I'm now in my room because I'm going to show you what this jacket I got looks like. Hopefully I'm not overhyping it. I probably am. So I'm going to flip the camera and show you. Okay, here we go. So this is the classic Beaufort. They have a whole bunch of different styles in the wax jacket. And if you don't know what a wax jacket is, it's a cotton jacket that is literally waxed on the outside to make it waterproof and windproof. And you have to re-wax your jacket like every year, year and a half, depending on where. So this is actually a men's style, but I like that it's a little bit bigger because I plan to wear like sweaters and layers and things underneath. The inside has a zip here on the side for a vest. So there's one you can get that actually zips in, but I probably would just wear my own vest, so I wouldn't get that. And then on the collar, I'm not sure if you can see that, there are these little snaps, and you can also get a hood, but I'm not a big hood person, so I will probably not get that either. It's got these like big deep pockets. It's got these like side pockets here, And then it's got this like booty pocket, which I know has a technical term, but if I unzip this, the whole back is like a pouch pocket. And it's kind of hard to tell in this light, but it's like a darker olive green. It almost looks like a blackish green. I love the brass zipper detail, so you can zip it up, you can snap it up, you can leave it open. It's got like a corduroy collar, which is a fun detail, and then of course the plaid inside. So anyway, I will include a link to this jacket on the website, and if you are lucky enough to live by a Barbour outlet store, make sure to check those out and see if they have the style or size that you're interested in, because you cannot beat that price. They also have Black Friday sales, but I'm sure it's not quite as good as 50% off. I will keep you posted on how this thing wears, and someday when I wax it, I will share that as well, but very excited about this purchase. Now that I'm home, I'm going to check in with Matt, who is making a grocery list, and we are probably going to run out and go grocery shopping to get that done, and then come home and cook some dinner. So I'm going to wrap things up here. We've still got a ton of garden work to do, but I've been kind of like taking a step away just to like take a breather, because it's going to be full force planting away over the next several days. So I will be sure to share that. Thank you so much for watching this week. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future updates. I will see you again next week in the garden.